Greetings all, and welcome to the 19th episode of TM Technical Movement. For today, we will be taking a look at the Fire Fang, Flame Wheel, Flame Charge, Fire Lash, Heat Wave, Eruption, Fire Spin, Magma Storm, Inferno and Burn Up attacks.
The Fire Fang attack is effectively a bite attack that has been slightly altered in order to accommodate the unique properties of elemental energy. In this case, the energy in question is fire. As such, the Fire Fang attack is essentially nothing more than a bite attack performed while the user's sharp teeth or fangs are coated in fire. Unlike most other fire-type attacks, the Fire Fang attack can be used by a fairly wide range of Pokémon because the addition of fire is merely an extra additive and not the base of the move itself. The addition of this elemental energy, however, does slightly shift the effects of the move and changes its overall battle effectiveness. On the one hand, the fact that the move takes a bit of time to prepare and relies more on fire than sheer biting force to deal damage means that it is slightly inaccurate and only has a 10% chance of causing the opponent to flinch. On the other hand, the addition of fire also ensures that the move has a 10% chance of inflicting a burn on the target. This alone can make the Fire Fang attack a powerful move to use in battle for both damage and disruptive purposes, and it's likely one of the best moves that a strong offensive-defensive fighter can have access to in close quarters, which might explain why it was converted into TM68 for the Silphco's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs, and TM08 for the 9th generation line. Since an opponent needs to utilize his teeth or fangs to execute a Fire Fang attack, striking otherwise damaging the Malison head can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. If this is not an option, however, extremely agile Pokémon can still dodge the attack in close quarters. Rocky Armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but Metallic Armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Fire Fang attack might not be as powerful as the Fire Punch attack, nor as glamorous, but when it comes to playing offensively and defensively at the same time, this is a move that is likely to be seen among all kinds of Pokémon with sharp teeth and fangs, and should be prepared for with strong defenses to minimize the move's effectiveness. In essence, the Flame Wheel attack involves striking an opponent while cloaked in a shield of fire. While the basic tackle attack is generally effective at dealing damage at a young age, there are a few families of Pokémon that have learned how to enhance the overall impact of their attacks with their own natural powers. Much as one would imagine, this involves the user cloaking itself in a shield of fire before initiating a tackle attack, which in turn alters the move's basic properties and converts it into a Flame Wheel attack. While engulfed in flames, the damage done by the attack takes on the same properties associated with other fire-type attacks, and receives a slight increase in overall damage potential. Moreover, the presence of fire serves to distract opponents long enough to grant the move a normally perfect accuracy rate, despite the fact that it requires a bit of time to prepare and can inflict a burn 10% of the time, and thaw the user out if it is frozen. Unfortunately, the attack is not learned by a wide variety of fire types, because only a few families have the physical capacity needed to properly utilize the attack, and it is not affected by items like King's Rocks for unknown reasons. But for those that are able to learn it, this move can certainly serve as a nice break from traditional fire-type special attacks, and give them a surprising edge over some opponents in battle. Since the Flame Wheel attack involves a full-body charge, it is fairly difficult to counter the attack with physical force alone, which is only made worse by the fact that the attack is also exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Blasting the opposition with water before the attack connects, however, can reduce the move's overall threat. Rocky Armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but Metallic Armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Flame Wheel attack can only do moderate damage at its best, and is unsuited for professional battles, but its capacity to deal decent physical damage at a low stamina cost nonetheless makes it a potent attack among young Pokémon that should be countered appropriately with water or decent defenses. Much as one might imagine from its name, the Flame Charge attack involves user cloaking itself in a shield of fire before initiating a tackle attack, which in turn alters the move's basic properties and converts it into a Flame Charge attack. In truth, this attack would effectively be the same as a Flame Wheel attack if it were not for the fact that the Fire Shield is partially internalized upon generation with this move. For one thing, it is much easier to maintain a literal shield of fire if at least part of the energy used to create it is internalized, so a wide variety of Pokémon can actually learn this move. This also reduces the damage done and sets it only slightly higher in terms of base power compared to a basic tackle attack at a greater stamina cost, seemingly making it weaker and potentially useless. There is, however, a catch. Because part of the energy used to create the shield is internalized, it ends up being redirected to the user's own muscular system after the attack is used, which in turn increases the user's speed. This alone can make the attack extremely versatile and worth using in battle despite its low damage potential, as the only thing better than a high-powered attack is the ability to attack the opposition before they attack you. It was for this reason that Silphco decided to try out the attack by releasing the move as TM43 within their 5th through 7th generation line of TMs, from which it gained a steady cult following among professional trainers before being discontinued, only to be revived as TM38 in the 9th generation line. Since the Flame Charge attack also involves a full body charge, it is very difficult to counter the attack with physical force alone, which is only made worse by the fact that the attack is also exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Blasting the opposition with water before the attack connects, however, can reduce the move's overall threat. Rocky Armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but metallic armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Flame Charge attack can only do moderate damage at its best, and is otherwise unsuited for professional battles, but its ability to rapidly increase the user's speed without sacrificing the chance to inflict damage more than makes it a dangerous move that should be countered with decent defenses and Pokemon with high speed stats to reduce its overall impact on the battlefield. Much as its name might suggest, the Fire Lash attack involves use of lashing out with a fire-coated tongue and slamming it forcefully into an opponent to deal damage. Pokemon like Heatmore, among others, are in the unique position that their tongues serve as a delivery method for their fire-type physical attacks, and it's only natural they have come to take advantage of this to execute a special move that only their general anatomy can allow them to use. In essence, the Fire Lash attack involves creatures like this coating the entirety of their tongues or even body with fire and spinning the entire mass outwards, flicking it like a bullwhip and striking an opponent full force with it before retracting it back into their bodies. This attack is considerably powerful as a result of the strong musculature contained within their tongues and bodies, but aside from dealing solid physical damage, it has the capacity to render opponents that survive the attack in a worse state of defense than before. While the majority of these creatures can only deal a solid base amount of damage with this move, the speed at which they swing their tongues and bodies, plus the tapering that occurs near the end, allows them to swing the tip of it all with enough power to slam into the target with the force of a sonic boom. This has the effect of scorching through their skin and any armor they might be wearing at the spot of contact, revealing a weak point in the process and lowering the overall defense stat with every successful strike. This can make these creatures a dire threat to the insects that they feed on regularly, and even more so to the opponent in battle, and thus serves as a useful tool that sets these fire-type Pokemon apart from the rest from a tactical standpoint. Since an opponent must expose their tongue or otherwise part of the body to execute a Fire Lash attack, attacking the exposed appendage can help negate the damage from this attack, and sometimes even damage the opposition if the counterattack is forceful enough. Otherwise, however, the attack is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Strong rocky armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker rocky armor is unlikely to perform as well, and metallic armor in general is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Fire Lash attack's limitation among a few Pokemon might make it an unlikely move to see in battle, but if it is available to the opposition, only strong defenses and moves that can raise a Pokemon's defense stat will be able to negate its worst effects and keep it from being a serious tactical threat in battle. In effect, the Heat Wave attack involves blasting the opposition with a wave of superheated air to inflict damage. The Heat Wave attack is relatively rare but otherwise devastating fire-type attack that trades the traditional principles of using fire as a weapon for the sheer adaptability of superheated air. Although hot air is normally little more than an unbearable condition that can make most others uncomfortable at the most, when blasted at a target exceptionally fast, the combined high temperatures and wind shear force can literally dry roast anything that gets in the way and inflict even more damage than a flamethrower attack in practice. The Heat Wave attack takes full advantage of this by using these principles to generate a gust of superheated air that is blown forcefully into the faces of nearby opponents in order to inflict searing damage. The Heat Wave attack is only slightly more powerful than a flamethrower attack, and is significantly less accurate as a result of the preparation time needed for the attack, but these issues are more than rectified by the fact that the move can hit multiple nearby opponents in battle, while only suffering a 25% drop in base power when more than one opponent is targeted. It certainly might not be common enough to be a significant threat in most battles, but when it is available, the Heat Wave attack can quickly become a menacing strike that only a strong immunity to wind and high temperatures will be able to protect against in battle, which might explain why it's made into TR-36 as part of Silphclaw's first line of TRs, and then TM-118 within the 9th generation line of TMs. Since the Heat Wave attack uses superheated air and not specifically fire to deal damage, water will be of little effect against it, though super cold air can potentially cancel it out in certain cases. If this is not an option, however, moderately agile Pokemon should still be able to dodge the attack with enough room. Strong rocky armor can also help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker rocky armor is unlikely to perform as well, and metallic armor in general is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Heat Wave attack is a powerful blow that can easily deal significant amounts of damage against a span of several opponents in an instant, and should not be underestimated in battle. As such, evasive tactics in conjunction with strong defenses, and possibly a bit of ice-type power, are highly recommended for reducing as much of its impact as possible in battle. As one might imagine, the Eruption attack involves user releasing massive amounts of fire and or lava from its body in a forceful blast designed to literally roast anything near them in battle. The Eruption attack is an exceptionally powerful but somewhat temperamental attack that is designed to utilize the user's full offensive power to strike the opposition with a dazzling blast of heat. In an Eruption attack, the user releases massive quantities of heat, lava or possibly both from its body, and spews them onto all nearby opponents in a dazzling display of destruction, not unlike what many would imagine Armageddon to be like. This imposing strike can deal tremendous amounts of damage to anything it manages to hit, equal to that of the Blast Burn attack at full strength, and, because it can hit multiple adjacent opponents, only suffering a 25% drop in base power, it can equally devastate several targets in battle without costing the user anything additionally. However, despite its impressive power, the Eruption attack does come with a cost. Its power is completely dependent upon how healthy the user is in regards to its current HP. The Eruption attack will only deal maximum damage when the user is at 100% of its maximum HP. As their energy slowly dwindles, the base power of this attack is also depleted until it eventually has almost no impact at all. This can make the move a very poor choice to have around as an attack later on in battle, but as a first strike, this otherwise inescapable wave of decimation can easily prove to be the worst thing that any opponent could ever hope to face at the very onset of a fight, especially since it is also affected by items like King's Rocks. While an intense blast of water can extinguish the Eruption attack at lower levels of power, near or at the attack's maximum strength capacity, there is very little able to actually prevent or dodge the destruction the attack can wreak in battle. Strong rocky armor can help reduce or negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker rocky armor is unlikely to perform as well at higher power levels, and metallic armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Eruption attack is an absolutely devastating attack to have to face early on or at the very beginning of a battle, so the threat it poses against most teams is more than real. The only thing that can be done to reduce its damage potential outside of possessing strong defenses is to inflict as much damage on the opponent as possible before they manage to use this attack. As one may gauge from its name, the Fire Spin attack involves engulfing the opponent in a spiraling vortex of flame to inflict damage. Instead of focusing energy to produce a flurry of small fires to inflict damage, Pokémon able to utilize the Fire Spin attack use a small amount of fire and a lot of hot air to inflict damage on an opponent while keeping them from moving much at all. By producing extremely hot air in their mouths and circulating it through their combustion organs before releasing it in conjunction with a bit of fire, these Pokémon can generate a cyclonic burst that engulfs anything it touches in a rotating vortex of fire. The ratio of combusting to non-combusting air means the damage done initially is relatively small, but as long as an opponent is snared within the rotating cyclone, the fire will continue to deal about 12.5% of the maximum HP and damage every couple of minutes for about 4 to 5 combat turns. This can easily result in the infliction of significant amounts of damage over the course of a particularly long battle, especially since it is affected by items like King's Rocks, even though the move takes a bit of time to prepare and is thus somewhat inaccurate, in turn validating the Fire Spin attack as a useful move and making it a powerful strike that only a Rapid Spin attack or similar move can completely dissipate, which helps to explain why it's means to TM13 in Civical's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs, and TM24 in the 9th generation line. Unless a strong burst of wind or water can be used to destabilize or otherwise destroy the attack before it makes contact, there is no way to directly counter the Fire Spin attack. Thankfully, though, even fairly agile Pokémon should be able to dodge the attack with enough room. Rocky armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by its attack, but metallic armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Fire Spin attack is incapable of dealing a large amount of damage to most types of opponents, but is nonetheless a devastating blow over the course of a long battle. As such, evasive tactics and perhaps a bit of water-type power are highly recommended for avoiding or at least cancelling out the attack before it can become a major problem. Considered to be the signature attack of Heatran, the Magma Storm attack involves engulfing the opposition in a spiraling maelstrom of fire to inflict damage. Instead of merely using their natural fire-type powers to engulf the opposition in a blast of fire, Heatran can utilize the immense heat contained within their metallic bodies to create massive bursts of fire and superheated air unlike anything seen in other species of Pokémon. By circulating the superheated air produced by the internal organs in conjunction with a large amount of fire, Heatran is able to generate a tremendous maelstrom of fire, capable of encircling and incinerating any nearby target with temperatures hot enough to melt most types of rock. The devastating temperatures experienced in the attack are more than enough to inflict lethal levels of damage to most types of opponents alone, but if an opponent somehow manages to survive the attack, the Cyclonic Maelstrom will continue to deal about 12.5% of the maximum HP and damage every couple of minutes for about 4 to 5 combat turns. While this move takes a bit more time to prepare than even the basic Fire Spin attack, and thus is fairly inaccurate, the tremendous amount of damage it can deal to opponents both initially and afterwards is more than enough to make it a fearsome weapon that truly makes Heatran one of the most dangerous Fire-type Pokémon a trainer could ever face in battle, especially since the attack is affected by items like King's Rocks. Due to its use of extraordinarily powerful flames and high temperatures to inflict damage, the only way to directly counter the Magma Storm attack is to use a Rapid Spin move or something similar to escape it, as the flames are far too hot for anything less than a Hydro Cannon attack to put it out. If this is not an option, however, relatively agile Pokémon can still dodge the attack with enough room. Strong Rocky Armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker Rocky Armor is unlikely to perform as well, and Metallic Armor in general is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Magma Storm attack is a devastating blow that can easily decimate most Pokémon and leave them scorched or reduced to little more than ashes in the worst circumstances, a fact made even worse by the extreme resistance against temperature reduction the move possesses. Evasive tactics in conjunction with strong defenses are recommended above all the courses of action to avoid getting struck by this monstrous attack, lest it end up inflicting more damage than a Pokémon can bodily take in battle. In effect, the Inferno attack involves user generating a massive intense blast of fire that deals massive damage and instantly burns anything it manages to touch. The Inferno attack is a rarely used but nonetheless devastating attack that can deal massive amounts of damage inflicting nasty status condition all in one convenient package. An Inferno attack is effectively a massive bluish-red burst of intense fire that is generated and fired by the user as a powerful but slow-moving projectile. Despite the large amount of damage the attack can do, it takes an exceptionally long amount of time to prepare it, which, combined with its already slow movement speeds, makes it very difficult for any Pokémon to use the attack accurately in battle. When it does hit, however, the effects are more than dramatic, as the flames used in the attack are at such high temperatures that they carbonize flesh shortly after coming into contact with it, dealing intense special damage and instantly leaving the target with a burn every single time. This makes the otherwise inaccurate attack the perfect move among offensive and defensive fighters looking to hurt the opposition and ensure that they are not able to deal as much physical damage as before. Its otherwise poor accuracy rate might make it a little more than a gamble in most cases, but its applications in battle are nonetheless spectacular. While it still utilizes fire as a direct weapon, due to the extreme temperatures used in the Inferno attack, it is impossible to put out with any amount of water easily. Even so, any Pokémon that have the basic capacity to move can easily dodge it. Strong rocky armor can also help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker rocky armor is unlikely to perform as well, and metallic armor in general is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. The Inferno attack is unreliable enough that it probably won't see a lot of use in battle, but for those with access to it, it's a devastating wildcard that can easily make or break a match and should be countered with the highest grade of evasive tactics available, as well as strong defenses and protection against burns in case it does manage to hit. In essence, the Burn Up attack involves user releasing all of its internal heat at once and a dazzling flare of energy that rockets towards and engulfs the target to deal damage. The Burn Up attack is a rare fire-type attack normally only learned by a few species of fire-type Pokémon that takes their fire-type powers to the extreme at the cost of their abilities in battle. These creatures are a bit different from other fire-type Pokémon in that they have the ability, if needed, to release all of their body heat and internal fire-type power at once in a display of power. While this might be visually stunning on its own, they can further redirect this massive release of energy into a powerful attack, releasing it in the form of a fiery ball of destruction that blasts towards its target and engulfs it in a fiery explosion, dealing massive damage in the process. However, while this attack is incredibly powerful and certainly worth using, it does come with a sad consequence for its user for the rest of a battle. In using this attack, the user literally does in fact lose all of the internal heat and fire-type power inside of them, completely nullifying the type in the process. They can still utilize fire-type attacks if they wish, but they will no longer receive a damage bonus for using a move of the same type, or take damage like a fire-type, and they will not be able to restore their powers until after the battle is over. This can make their Burn Up attack fairly temperamental in post-use, and a dangerous attack to use right away, but if a great deal of power is needed to scorch the opposition before they get the chance to take down the user, it can do in a pinch, and more than proves to be a serious attack worth using when appropriate. As with most fire-type attacks, because of its use of pure fire to inflict damage, the only way to directly counter the Burn Up attack is to extinguish the flames used in it before they can inflict damage, though the sheer power of this move means that a lot of water will be needed to do so. Otherwise, however, the attack can be exceptionally difficult to dodge. Strong rocky armor can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack, but weaker rocky armor is unlikely to perform as well, and metallic armor is likely to take exceptional damage from it in most situations. Their Burn Up attack is rare enough that it probably won't be of much of a threat to most trainers, but if stuck in a battle against one of the few Pokémon able to actually use this attack, strong defenses and a lot of water are highly recommended for reducing the amount of damage the attack can inflict, as are any tactics that can be used to take advantage of the opponent's depowered state after the move's execution.
That's it for this episode, so stay tuned for the next episode of TM Technical Movement. Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.